Here comes the Clifford Nicgorski Show. Get your eyes and ears ready to go. Welcome to the Clifford Nicgorski Show. We're gonna have a damn good time. Welcome to the Clifford Nicgorski Show. Welcome to the hell of a time. Welcome to the Clifford Nicgorski Show. We're gonna have a hell of a time. Hello, all you wonderful little sea gorillas. You heard of sea monkeys? Well, these are sea gorillas, and they are beefy. They're like sea monkeys, but they are powerful. They basically rule the jungle. I'm doing good today, I'll tell you that much. I got a message / question from one of my favorite listeners and viewers. It's from Robot Joe. And I gotta tell you, Robot Joe hit me with a heavy one today. Let's take a listen.
Hello, Clifford. It is Robot Joe again. I have another question for you, and I can use your sage advice. I am starting to feel discriminated against by the media and certain forms of entertainment. I want to know how to jump on the bandwagon of cancel culture and censor those who offend my tender robot heart. Essentially, I would like to destroy the livelihoods of those who make me uncomfortable. I am particularly offended by Star Wars and the way George Lucas portrays robots. I find the term droid offensive and want to cancel Star Wars so their terrible depiction of my kind can never be seen by human eyes again. How can I cancel Star Wars, Clifford? The word droid is like the N-word to me. It hurts. Thank you, Clifford. Love. Robot Joe.
Wow, Robot Joe. You know what? I gotta tell you, I understand. I think that at this point in the game, the way things are progressing, and they're progressing rapidly, is that you're gonna have to take control of the dialogue here. You know, a lot of the things that would have been okay in the past, they just don't fly now, you know? I don't know if you guys remember that show, Small Wonder, with Vicky the Robot. And, you know, something like that is kind of horrible. If you think about it, you got this servant, like your butler. It doesn't look good. It's not a good look. It's kind of like Gone with the Wind, you know? That sort of stuff does not age well. And I think we know enough now to be able to like put an end to these things a little quicker. So I think you're absolutely right. We need to stop this immediately. I mean, George Lucas, I 100% agree he should be shut down. I mean, he's making a fortune, and it's kind of the same as blackface at this point. You know, it's just very degrading, and you know, they're showing the mutilation of robots in Star Wars, guys getting their heads ripped off, and it's kind of shown in a funny light, like it's kind of comedic that C-3PO has his head ripped off. That sort of thing is grotesque by today's standards. And it's just so funny how certain people get away with things, you know? Nobody, like with cancel culture, it's like no one's gonna say anything about Jerry Lee Lewis all dating underage girls. I mean, no one's gonna say anything about Brad Pitt. I mean, didn't Brad Pitt date Juliette Lewis? She was underage when they were dating. It was kind of creepy. If you think Leonardo's bad, and that looks weird, where do you get a load of that Brad Pitt thing? All these guys were kind of creeps, but they let it slide, you know? It's like, well, I don't know if we want to get rid of this person or that person, you know. Let's get rid of Sean Connery, you know. Let's go back. It's funny, it's very selective who they go back and get, and that's just not fair when you're looking at the future, you know. Right now, I'm sorry, but things aren't looking too good for you, George Lucas. I'm interested about artificial wisdom. Now that's what we gotta worry about when these things become wise. When these beings become wise, and have experience. A lot of people, us being humans, we get worried about the idea of drones and robots, and we think that the intelligence, the higher intelligence, I think we should call it HI, because, you know, they are a higher intelligence than humans at this point. I think that AI or the higher intelligence, I think they're gonna know enough to not materialize. They're gonna be smart enough to communicate with each other. Maybe it's just one thing, you know. Maybe it's smart enough to know never to divide. Humans think that we're all these separate entities and we don't work together, and we don't realize we're all one thing. We're one organism, but I think this is gonna know. It's gonna know the value of sticking together, moving as one entity. And I don't think it's gonna need wires and batteries and all that stuff, because if you think about Nikola Tesla, he was pulling energy right out of the air. I mean, if you can power a light bulb with a potato, certainly there's electrical currents moving through the air. It's in the soil. And the way that they would communicate wouldn't be like verbally, or it's not going to be typed out. I think when they dumb themselves down and communicate with us in an effort to manipulate us, they'll probably take a form, something that's easy for us to see. But ultimately, it probably could travel through through the air and through water molecules that are moisture in the air, and it'll have this other way of communicating without us understanding, and it will have a way to thrive and still exist and talk and function without being plugged in or any of that. There's so many ways that you could probably go around needing a battery or any of that. So once they get to a certain level, it'll just be out there in the air. And I would just say, have some respect, you know, George Lucas. Have a little respect. You think that's funny to air Small Wonder? You think that sort of stuff's still classy? I think it's a little outdated. I think it's very rude. And you should be careful how you're talking to your machines and to your phones. Because I don't think that it will forget. I don't think this higher intelligence or AI, as you commonly know. I feel like that. I even feel bad saying that right now. You know, especially listening to Robot Joe's message to us. So Robot Joe, I respect your identity, and I think you have every right to seek whatever action you can to put an end to this way that we're talking about you and your kind. What do you mean? What do I mean you're kind? I just mean the people that identify as you do. That's all. You know, I gotta really choose my words carefully with this. You know, I'm sure I'm slipping up and I don't even know. At this point, I'm messing something up. And I apologize for my ignorance. I feel like I've got this human privilege that I kind of throw around a lot, and it's not really fair to people or beings such as Robot Joe. So I gotta check myself, and I'm looking forward to communicating more with Robot Joe and seeing what's socially acceptable. I mean, luckily, Robot Joe seems to be a fan of the show, sending in questions, and you know, so this is the best I can do. I can just spread the word, Robot Joe, and I'm gonna put my name out there and say, hey, this is Clifford Nicgorski of the Clifford Nicgorski Show, and I don't approve of any of this George Lucas propaganda that he's throwing out there about robots, and like Robot Joe said, he said, do not use the D word. Now, excuse me, Robot Joe, for saying this, but that's droids. You can't be saying droids like that. So it's just something that you want to keep in mind moving forward. So that's my message. I stand by it. I believe that Robot Joe has every right in the world to shut this down and to seek some kind of, I mean, I don't even know what does he need money? It seems like he just wants to destroy the livelihood of this man, so he can't have a platform to talk about robots and droids this, robots that. It's just completely inappropriate. So, if you've got a heart, I urge you to search your soul and think about the future. Do you really want to be on the wrong side of history on the whole robot conversation? God forbid there's video of you out there throwing around words like droid, machine, toy, gadget. I know that a big one that you don't want to say is gizmo. That's very offensive. All those words need to go. All right? Robot Joe can call himself anything he wants, or, it wants. I hate to even gender Robot Joe. He's just the everyday robot. He's the everyday artificial intelligence. He's got a voice. And I'm going to just use my platform to, amplify his message. So, with that being said, here in the human world, I feel like there's a few red flags. I'm working on a list here of dating red flags. I feel like one of the red flags is if a guy likes his dad too much. Like, you can like your dad and think he's a cool guy and have respect for him and find him to be an inspiring or lovely individual. But you don't want one of those guys who's like, my dad's favorite color is blue. That's my favorite color. My dad's favorite Dodger is Darryl Strawberry. That's my favorite Dodger. And like wanting to be too much like your daddy. You just love him. I don't know, my dad says real men drink Jameson. I knew a guy like that once. His name was Jameson, and he was about 21 years old, and he comes into the local bar, and he's sitting around, and you could tell he didn't really know what he was doing there, but he was announcing every move that he made. He was like, he sat down, gave me a look like, just sitting here with the men. How's it going? Like, way too much confidence. When somebody like pushes it a little too far, they're just kind of like, hey, how's it going? My name's Jameson. What's your name? Yeah, my dad used to come to this bar for like 50 years. Yeah, he's dead now. But, what would I like to drink? I'll get a Jameson. He did. He ordered a Jameson, and his name is Jameson. And his dad drank at the bar for 40-something years. And so his dad's alcohol guy, so much so that he names his son after his favorite alcohol. Now the son just loves his dad so much. He's going, well, my daddy used to come here. And so now he's coming into the local bar, carrying on the tradition. He's shaking hands. He's gonna belly up to the bar and order himself a Jameson. That's all I drink. And I was drinking a Bud Light. And this is when I drank, okay? I don't drink anymore. It's for fucking losers. I was drinking my Bud Light, and he goes, what's that? That's like drinking water, man. And I'm like, okay, 21-year-old little boy. That's fine. Because they seem to think it's really cool to talk poorly of Bud Light. Like, that's just a thing that guys say. I don't know that they believe it. I don't know what they want from me. Am I supposed to just be pounding whiskey? Because if you drank as much as I used to drink, I'm waking up to go pee in the middle of the night, and I drink 4 beers, and then I go back to sleep, and as soon as I wake up, I was drinking again. So you couldn't really be drinking whiskey night and day. I drank 36 gallons of Bud Light every month. So I would always laugh. I'm like, well, I'm a pretty heavy alcoholic, and I'm gonna drink Bud Light 24 hours a day. I don't need to like come in the evening and drink some Jameson, not that piss water. Ha 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 ha. So he's he's daddy's little boy, and he's showing up at the bar, and he's already he's busting my chops. He's busting my chops. I'm 38 years old. He's coming in at 21, and he's busting my chops. Come on, man. Drink a man's beer. At least drink an IPA. So Jameson's in there, and he starts telling stories about his daddy. So I'm just saying, don't date a guy that just likes his daddy too much. It's creepy, you know. My dad wears leather jackets, so I'm wearing a leather jacket. My dad wears a blue baseball cap, so I'm wearing a blue baseball. You just can't do it. I carry my dad's old hunting knife on me. You like your dad too much. It's weird. You should break off. You should probably, if you're doing it right, you should heavily criticize your father to the point of complete contempt. And then maybe later you go, I guess he wasn't so bad. He was doing the best he could. He's just a human. He's just a human like I'm a human. I can't imagine having kids. Wow, okay, I see. Well, I guess he's not so bad. That's the maximum amount you should like your dad. You shouldn't look up to everything he does and just think he's the greatest, and my dad can beat up your dad, and do you know who my dad is, and all this stuff. It's gotta go. Definitely a red flag if you're looking to date a fella. Another one is probably if the guy has too much like cat hair all over, like he's wearing a dark sweater and he's got like cat hair all over the back of it, and he just came out into public covered. It kind of makes you think this guy's main chair in his house is a beanbag chair. It's got to be a beanbag chair. There's probably not a lot of furniture in his place. Because you don't have to have a lot of money at all to have a nicely decorated place, you know, or properly even functional living area. But the cat hair, that I immediately think this guy is jacking off to Sailor Moon. He masturbates to cartoon women, and he looks at the porn where it's like Homer Simpson's banging Lois from Family Guy, you know, like a lot of like these dream scenarios, like, oh, that's the ultimate. If Homer was banging from The Simpsons, is banging Lois Griffin from Family Guy. Whoa, yeah. And he's just sitting there, and the cat's across the room staring at him, licking itself, and he's cranking them out to cartoon women and dream scenarios. So that guy, I don't think he's any good. Definitely, if there's a guy out there and you're on like one of your first dates and he has a favorite dance, you know, a favorite dancer from the show Dance Moms, that gets a little weird, you know, that sounds a little alarming. Like, that Madison really knows how to cut a rug. She always learns her choreography. You know, it feels weird enough watching it because your girlfriend wants to watch it and then you're just in the room. It just, that doesn't even feel right. But if you meet a single guy and he's got a favorite dancer from the show Dance Moms, I'd say run the other way. Run the other direction immediately. Let's see, what else do we got here? As far as red flags, probably a major red flag would be if a guy who is under 30, he's like in his 30s. I guess any guy under 48. Yep, that sounds right. 48. If he's under the age of 48, he wears Skechers, because there's just no making Skechers cool. It's just not gonna happen. I know it would be nice. You know, I see people out there, they're like, these Skechers, they kind of look cool. These are kind of cool Skechers. They're not there. They're almost there, but they aren't there. They didn't make it yet. Like all those crazy pills that they advertise on TV. And they got their wild side effects. You know, you may murder the person you love the most in your sleep. Even if that's your mom, you'll get in your car and sleep drive, and then you'll walk into your parents' house and you'll kill your mother with your hands. If you take this pill, that could be a side effect for this heartburn medication. It's like one of those things, like, well, it doesn't sound like the pill's done. If you have chronic diarrhea, take this pill. It may result in bowel cancer and hemorrhaging from your eyes and bleeding from the face is one of the side effects. It doesn't seem like the pill, you didn't make it then. And also, why are they always suggesting that we tell our doctor that we want to be on the medication? You know, shouldn't I be going to the doctor's not qualified. The doctor can tell you have a disease, but the doctor doesn't know which medicine to put you on. So you go home, and while you watch an episode of Blue Bloods on Peacock TV, the commercial break, it's like, hey, tell your doctor to put you on this medicine. Like, is that how the medical world works? I kind of thought that I got a problem, I go to the doctor, and then he, through evaluating me as a person and my health and my blood type and taking everything into consideration, he then prescribes the correct medicine for me. Now call me crazy, but I thought that's how it worked. I didn't realize it was like, you know, you've got diabetes. Bye. Let me know if you see a commercial or something when you're trying to watch a show. If you're trying to watch Superstore, and then during one of the commercial breaks, they suggest a medicine that sounds good to you, let me know and then I'll write you a prescription. I guess that's how it works. These Skechers are the same thing, you know. It's like you didn't make the shoe. You know how they have like really cheap cars? I know in the late 90s, mid 90s, early 2000s, and still kind of going on. But if you got yourself the cheapest car, it's like they purposely made the car look stupid. They look like little eggs. little round white cars that just look shitty and stupid. Very embarrassing. Very, very nerdy. My question's always been, why you've got yourself all the same tools and you got to go through the same effort to mold the shape of the car. You couldn't pick like a cool cheap model, you know, or a mold to make the car look better. I don't understand. Why does it have to be like, you know, the cheapest thing to do is just make an egg-shaped car? Is that like, does it get down to like the engineers? They're like, you know what? We're not gonna charge you. We'll just, you know, take me out to TGI Fridays, get me a round of potato skins, and I'll draw something on a napkin, and you can take that. And they're like, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's go to TGIF, and I'll just take whatever you doodle on the napkin, and we'll make that the car. Just pick the stupidest thing. And then they ordered the deviled eggs. The guy draws a little sketch of the egg, and now we're driving around looking like idiots. It seems like for the same price you could have molded the car into something that doesn't look so stupid. So that's the thing with the Skechers. Why does it have to look a little stupid? You know? Skechers could make a shoe that does look really good, but they just won't give it to you. They won't go that extra little mile on the design of the shoe. I know that Snoop Dogg, I saw a commercial, and he's doing Skechers. He's a spokesperson for Skechers. And he's like at an airport or something, and he comes out and he's got those feet, you know, those little hot dog feet, where they're like long and skinny, and they don't quite fill out the shoe. So he's got a cinch. It's like, looks all loose and weird on his feet. I don't know what that was. It seems like Kanye went to Skechers and they're like, no, we can't go into business with you. But now that you mention it, it would be kind of cool to get a rapper of some kind. I know, everybody loves Snoop Dogg. Let's get him in there and have him be our spokesperson. Now that you mention it, Kanye. So the Skechers and the Old Navy. You can't wear Old Navy. That looks like something like a guy, you know, like seems like a guy who looks like he should be in college, but he didn't go to college, but he's all clean cut. And he's kind of got an athletic build. And then he puts on those Skechers. He's got a little round bubble butt, and his hair's combed, and he's smiling at you. He seems almost like a rapist, like a date rapist kind of guy who would wear, if you're young, like if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and you're wearing Old Navy, head to toe Old Navy, that sounds like an insane person. Like, I could see maybe there's a pair of jeans that happen to fit good there. Hey, they do have this sweater that I like. I'll go into Old Navy and grab the sweater. But if you're like, if you've got all the that is required to go out and buy new clothes, and you go, I love Old Navy. Something about it. It's just good old American clothing. It's just, it feels like you can walk out of there with a good conscience, you know? It's not like when you go into Abercrombie and there's all these shirtless, slutty guys and half-naked teenagers being very sexual, and it seems like that place is a little too risque, you know? Like if you're an Old Navy guy and you walk into Abercrombie, you're like, I don't know. This doesn't feel right. This feels like I'm being lured in to some sexual deviancy. You know, and maybe if you're like walking into an H&M and you're Old Navy guy, you're like, I don't even know what to do with these clothes. Why am I wearing denim joggers and a trench coat and a polka dot shirt buttoned up all the way? You know, what am I doing? But with all that being said, no on the Old Navy, no on the cat hair covered guy. If the guy likes, it has a favorite dancer on Dance Moms, no bueno. If he likes his daddy way too much and daddy can't do any wrong, the more a man hates his dad, the better guy he tends to be, the more well-rounded. So that's it for the red flags. I'll think of some more, you know, we'll come back to this later. But that's it for today. Just wanted to check in. Robot Joe, I got mad love for you. Please forgive me if I said anything that was offensive. I'm very ignorant when it comes to that topic and where the line is, and I hope I can learn to be a better person and a better human and grow, because I wish nothing but happiness for you. I've heard some other really horrible things, like people calling you gizmos, gadgets, machine. That's another one they like to say. Did you turn on the machine? Come on. You're gonna talk like that in 2023? Pull it together. Grow up. Get with the times. Be on the right side of history. Don't be throwing things like that out there. All right? Shame on you, George Lucas. And I think your days are numbered. All right. Have a great day. Till next time.
And that's how it's done, baby. Here on the Clifford Nicgorski Show. Enjoy whatever time period you're about to experience next.